पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन तुम हो विघ्न विनाशा गणेशा विघ्न विनाशा गणेशा तुम हो विघ्न विनाशा तुम हो विघ्न विनाशा हे शिवनंदन बाल गजानन हे शिवनंदन बाल गजानन हे शिवनंदन बाल गजानन हे शिवनंदन बाल गजानन विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता मंगल कर हे 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 सुंदर साई गणेशा गणेशा सुंदर साई गणेशा पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन तुम हो विघ्न विनाशा गणेशा हे शिवनंदन बाल गजानन विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता विद्या बुद्धि प्रदाता मंगल कर हे मंगल कर हे सुंदर साई गणेशा गणेशा सुंदर साई गणेशा पशुपति तनया बाल गजानन श्री गणेश विनायका श्री गणेश विनायका श्री गणेश विनायका श्री गणेश विनायका विघ्न विनाशक विनायका विनाशक विनायका विघ्न विनाशक विनायका विघ्न विनाशक विनायका मंगलदायक विनायका विनायका मंगलदायक विनायका भव भयनाशा विनायक.
Right, Sairam, everybody. We'll get started. We'll just give a minute. I hope everybody can hear me. Let's start with 3 ohms. Om. 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 My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Sat Sai Baba. Sairam, dear brothers and sisters, on behalf of the Sri Sat Sai Global Council of California, it gives me great joy to welcome you all for today's satsang. As you all know, this is part of our monthly series of satsangs that we've been having for quite some time this year, celebrating our dear Lord's centennial birthday. We're indeed blessed today to have with us Sister Karuna Munshi, whose life and work has been deeply infused with Bhagavan's teachings. Today, Sister Karuna Munshi will talk about celebrating centennial birthday of Bhagavan Baba with courage, clarity, and confidence, the 3 C's. A little bit background for all our viewers, since this is being recorded. Karuna ji grew up in a Sai-infused environment in Srinagar, Kashmir, and from her student days at Sri Sai Institute of Higher Learning, where she started her BA and MA in philosophy with distinction, she has carried forward the values of excellence, service, and devotion. Her professional journey as a journalist and communications expert took her across India and Canada, but wherever she went, her heart remained anchored in Sai Seva. She has served the Sai Mission for decades as a teacher, youth coordinator, secretary of the largest Sai Centre in the world, and as a contributor to Radio Sai and Heart to Heart. Since 2017, Karuna ji has been leading the Sri Sat Sai Vidya Vahini program at Prashanthi Nilayam, guiding a global network of volunteers to empower rural education through technology, values, and above all, the spirit of loving communications. Her journey is a shining example of how one can blend professional excellence with deep spiritual commitment, and we are truly fortunate to learn from her experiences today. Before we begin, a few quick announcements. Kindly keep your microphones muted during the talk. Please save your questions until the end. You may type them into the chat box, and if time permits, we may be able to take a couple of them. This talk is being recorded and will be made available at the Sri Sat Sai Zonal website, Global Council website, for those who wish to revisit again. Finally, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Brother Sunil, President of the Tustin Sai Centre, and Brother Jean Massey, Vice President of the California region, for their support in helping me to organize this event. Now, with love and gratitude, let us welcome Sister Karuna Munshi for her talk. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. My pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet and a very loving Sai Ram to all my sisters and brothers in America. Onam greetings from Prashanthi Nilayam, the spiritual capital of the universe and the melting pot where the world comes together. As I'm speaking to you from my office in Prashanthi Nilayam, thousands and thousands of devotees from the state of Kerala, South Indian state of Kerala, are here celebrating Onam, and There is celebration in the air as always, because Prashanthi Nilayam is always in a celebratory mode and mood, especially because this is the centenary year, the 100th year of the Advent, the divine Advent of the supreme principle in a human form, who you and I are so blessed to call our beloved Swami. I believe this epochal event, the 100th year of his descent, calls for a big time pause, a review, and if required, a reset of our relationship with him. And that comes from some amount of deep reflection, I feel. An area whose time has come right now, I believe, as devotees of Baba, is for each of us to own our experiences with Swami and start to trust our own inner compass with greater confidence. So all of us have this little intuitive voice within us, and is available to us 24/7 to guide us in the right direction, to the right decision, so that we may fulfill our divine destinies in the most dharmic way. However, there is some dissonance in our ability to hear it and follow it. And that comes obviously from our social conditioning, the peer pressure we have, or our desire to be acceptable to others who seem to influence our choices for many reasons, all understandable. However, I believe as sadhakas, as sincere seekers, the centenary is an ideal time for an inner reset. And we have to strengthen and trust our inner connection with Swami, because this is an invaluable gift to us. And doing so requires self-confidence. That is the primary foundation on which all of Sai teachings are based. See, we can, you and I, this moment is an example of what I want to say, is that we can never get enough of Swami's mind-boggling experiences with devotees. His 85 years on earth in the form of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba has spun billions with the B, or maybe trillions with the T, of amazing miracles and experiences. And all these satsangs about devotees' experiences, they are wonderful. They are so inspiring. They clear our doubts. Often they answer a question that's sitting on your head. But let's not forget, they still involve relying on someone else as the transmitter of that message. So there is an else, because still we have that state of non-duality where you and I become one and feel one inside. We are you and I am I and you are you. So we are all in different stages of understanding the Dvaitic principle, Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, depending on where we are in our spiritual journey. So as long as we are borrowing our faith from someone else, that faith is bound to have a generational loss in its intensity, because it is based on another's experience. And you know what it does? It disrespects our soul's own signature. So it's like me describing to you that today's Onam in Prashanthi Nilayam, and all of us in the ashram have been invited to this awesome, delectable Onam meal. It's, I don't know how to, sadhyam or something it's called. It's a traditional meal served on a banana leaf with an amazing menu. I can describe that menu to you and all the dishes and all the sweets that we are going to enjoy this afternoon, actually in a few hours from now. But can you taste what I describe? At best, I can make you salivate. But it's not your taste. It's going to be my experience. I'm going to be hogging with both my hands and enjoying that wonderful meal shortly, because we are celebrating a very special festival. Similarly, there are countless accounts. So at best, when we fall back on other people's accounts, countless accounts, we are getting a second-hand, filtered, sometimes there is a watered down or an exaggeration in that experience of sharing. And yet, I know personally, and I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you are one of those people who live in the presence of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba every single day. You experience His presence in so many ways and in so many things, big and small, every single day. And this has been our experience before Samadhi, which is 24th of April 2011, and after Mahasamadhi. And I find many people won't share them. And I often wonder why. Perhaps many of you know what's holding you back. My guess is fear of judgment of other people's opinion, or self-doubt, did it really happen? Or maybe some privacy issues that come in the way of acknowledging that we all experience a direct and inner connection with Swami all the time, and we keep second-guessing ourselves. For me, I know with certainty that Bhagwan is always with me, protecting me against dangers which are known and unknown. The unknown ones I discover only in hindsight. I also know Bhagwan is guiding me at every single time I pray for clarity. And He's very liberal in chiding me whenever I falter. Swami is also very kind. He validates my efforts whenever I'm beset with self-doubt. And He lets me know repeatedly that I am His darling daughter, that I do matter, and that all my sacrifices, no matter how small, my struggles, no matter how insignificant to another, they are all known to Him. So every time I'm in a situation where I have to swallow that lump in my throat and fight back my tears, instantly Bhagwan fills my heart with His presence, and I can practically taste the sweetness in my mouth. He's that kind, that protective, that loving. So I am going to contradict myself. I told you I've just been talking about the need to not rely on another's experience. And to elucidate this point, I'm going to share my experience, hoping that after this, you don't need to hear another's experiences to be inspired, and you will seek your inspiration from within. So from about 2007 to 2017, I worked actively with what was then known as the Ashram's Media Center. I was volunteering there full time. And life was pretty easy because all the materials I was dealing with were related to Swami's discourses, Swami's teachings, beautiful music, and my most favorite, experiences of devotees. I used to listen to those experiences with such intensity and always wonder, Swami, why didn't this happen to me? What is it about this person that you give so much grace? What should I do to ever earn that kind of attention from you? Actually, I've drawn a list of few things that I saw. There were some recurring themes, but maybe perhaps I will share those if any questions warrant that. But overall, I found that I was completely enamored, and sometimes at the end of the interview, I used to be in tears because those people had such amazing things to share with me. And that kind of bliss, you can't explain to another person. I used to feel such a high, and I couldn't wait to go home and tell my husband, I interviewed this person and this is what he said, and this is what happened to them. And it was so easy, breezy, wonderful, comfortable life. And then Swami said, enough is enough. And in June of 2017, we were about to embark on a very happy family event after a long time. And that's when Bhagwan put me through my life's toughest test. And that is a big thing to say, but it really was. I was asked to step in and take charge of a situation under some very challenging times and sort things out in a project. So what followed right before this happy family event was going to begin was my trial by fire. And trust me, dear sisters and brothers, I had to brave it in the midst of celebrations. So this new challenge required me to be a wizard in values education, general pedagogy, technology, project management, people management, and crisis management. That's all, very small order. Now, I had some considerable, maybe 12, 13 years of experience in Sai education, and I was a reasonable user of technology, though I never coded or developed any. It was the management of different mindsets that was absolutely impossible to crack. I badly needed an advanced crash course in fighting an inferno of fragmented visions, narratives, and voices. After a decade of edifying work at Radio Sai, I suddenly found myself caught up in this vortex of despair. It was such a tough time. Now, I had heard and recorded thousands of Sai stories of miracles, grace, interventions, and I tried my best to fall back on these so that I could somewhere find some resonance, what Swami said to somebody or how he advised them to move on, and I could also use that. That's when it occurred to me I was on my own, and time had come for me to translate all those second-hand experiences into first-hand experiences. This was my moment to write my own course in miracles. I had to change my gears from quoting others and getting excited about somebody else's amazing experiences. I had to author my own first-hand survival kit. I can't even begin to tell you, in those days, I walked around the ashram or at home or everywhere. I felt there was a heavy rock on my heart. Even though I tried to put on a brave face and pretend to be calm, I was anything but. And the situation around me was quite rough. Our new office premises were under renovation. We were operating in a makeshift office at the end of a corridor with very poor internet signal. So we were hot-spotting ourselves. And overall energy was low and negative, to say the least. Now, under these circumstances, in the summer of 2017, I had no choice but to call on Swami for help intensely, incessantly, and constantly. I had zero directional clarity. And before I would douse one fire, then I had three more to attend to. So a CEO friend of mine, he was this friend of mine who headed a big IT company as the CEO. I sought his input and he heard me and he said, "Oh my God, you poor thing." It's like you're trying to change a flat tire of a vehicle that is driving uncontrollably on the highway at top speed. I have nothing to say to you except that Baba will guide you. And that was the best feedback I got. When the CEO gave up, my CEO friend gave up on me, it really forced me to constantly talk to Swami in my heart and keep saying, "Swami, please protect me. Swami, please guide me. Swami, please hold my hand, show me the right direction." And with full confidence, I can say to you that for every call for help, Bhagwan responded. Once in this situation, I had to deal with a bunch of people who I thought had really messed up big time, and I was very upset with them. And I was like fuming, and I prayed to Swami on his guidance on how I should deal with them. And I thought, Swami might say, "Pull out your whip" or something. And I got a very clear answer. Deal with them with love. Which, all his with love, all signatures of Swami autographs. This was love was the last thing on my mind. And frankly, I would have preferred the opposite approach. But thank God I listened to my God voice inside and went against my own silly judgment driven by my ego and dealt with the group that I thought was very antagonistic with love. It was very painful to practice love in that bitter situation, but it was the right approach. That's when the gulf between knowing and doing became apparent to me. All the experiences of devotees were not the end that I had recorded. Those experiences were the means to the next stage. Unless I practice what I had been preaching through eloquently scripted programs, my efforts as a journalist would only amount to producing spiritual entertainment and at best, some feel-good inspiration that you could quote here and there. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So I realized it was time for me to walk the talk. And walk the talk was to see God in everyone. And I have to admit honestly, I had to work incredibly hard to imagine God hidden in some of the characters that I had to deal with. Overall, I had zero strategy. I only had one master strategy. Swami, please guide me to think thoughts that you want me to think, speak words you want me to speak, perform actions you want me to perform. And I had to survive one crisis at a time. I was living moment to moment. I can't tell you how much of hyperventilation was going on inside of me, although I tried to appear very calm. So this forced me to focus on the fact that the persons or the circumstances that were facing me were divine and divinely ordained to test me. I have to confess, I didn't like one bit being in that place or in that situation. And instead of wanting to give someone a piece of my mind, I had to constantly imagine that God was within them. I didn't always succeed, but I did always try. So the day I took charge of this situation, I had a dozen important decisions to make, and they had to be made immediately, and I didn't know the context of anything. It was a moment of overwhelm, and I could feel at that time a hand, a soft but strong hand, hold my hand. And if I was moving, because I was so lost and confused, if I was moving or I was being advised to move in a certain direction regarding a decision that had to be made on the spot, unsolicited, some information would come to me that would trigger my pause button. And that made me investigate the matter more deeply. And I had very clear guidance from Swami what to avoid, who to avoid. You get the gist. I have to share one funny experience. So, there is an elderly devotee here in the ashram who I would often cross paths with after darshan. Apart from saying Sai Ram sir, I didn't exchange any other detail with him ever. Never did I ever speak to him about the situation I was dealing with or about my anxiety or stress or any of that. But I have a lot of respect for this person. That is because every time he walks past me, he just says something which would be an answer to many things that were lingering on my mind. So one day after evening darshan, I was just standing behind the mandir where all those two-wheelers are parked. I was trying to go to Ganesha, and a group of self-appointed well-wishers and advisors of mine came over to me to try to influence me about a decision regarding the matters that I was dealing with. And I was not at all convinced by their logic, but they were trying very hard to tell me to move in a certain direction. And I had barely disengaged with them. I was trying to disengage. This elderly devotee comes from the other side, and he spoke loudly. He said to me, Amma, you keep going straight, doing what seems right to you. Listen only to Swami's voice in your heart. Don't listen to anyone on your left or your right. And this group that was trying to lobby was to my right within this uncle's earshot. So you can imagine how clear Swami's message to me was. And I knew that I had to keep going the way I thought was the right thing to do. And Swami kept sending me unasked, even before before I could anticipate my next challenge. A solution to that challenge would walk into my office in the form of a troubleshooter who would, like an instrument, who would come in and say, anything I can do to help, I work in this area. And I would say, oh, I wish I had a secretary who could note down all these people who are offering me help. I had to hear there is no such concept, right? We all do our own work. So by the time I would try to grasp who this stranger is, who's offering, can I trust them? The problem to which they were the antidote would arise. And I would say, oh, right, I have a solution right here. Swami did everything for me. And that is how, with the work I'm doing currently, it has reached the scale that had never been imagined before. It was not even in its original vision. And honestly, neither in mine. It's all Swami's vision only. Because as I confessed in all honesty, I had zero directional clarity. My only clarity was that I'm totally dependent on Swami. But in that struggle, I learned to trust what he was telling me. I learned to tune into him and honor his advice, although it went many times against my own good judgment. Till I realized that the moment anything feels uncomfortable and not nice to digest, if it were to happen to me, that is what should be avoided, because that's how Swami would like us to move. And I had to take a lot of tough decisions. But in those tough decisions, I really tried my best to practice love, because Swami told me to deal with the toughest people with love. It was so tough. So, as lost as I was, in this period, I was convinced of, you know what? His omniprotection. And that was enough for me to never give up. So one morning, with the help of a brother who lives actually in California, I was writing a very important proposal for the government of India's think tank called the Niti Aayog. And as I was writing it, and I was trying to stay focused and not get distracted, not make a mistake, when I finished, I prayed to Swami and I clicked the send button. And at that moment, in the big Ganapati idol in the lobby, in the foyer of our office, a bucket of vibhuti appeared on Ganesha. It's like someone took one bucket and poured it all over and all around. It was not little manifestations. It was one bucket worth of vibhuti on the Ganpati. There were so many times Swami realized I needed an external sign. I am not a subtle person. I'm not as sensitive as I should be to my inner voice. Swami taught that to me. And then about a year later, after this, we were on a very important call in our office, in our multimedia room. It's a conference room with the officials from Delhi, who are the tech team that maintains the Prime Minister of India's e-Vidya portal called diksha.gov.in. So they were going to provision Vidya Vahini officially as a project on the Government of India's website. And this would enable us to start uploading for approval and publishing our digital content for the entire country. So this IT expert came online on a conference call and he was walking us step by step. This is the drop-down menu. This is where you click. This is where you enter. I'm going to give you a one-time password. Enter this. This will enable. As he was going, like the few people around me were super excited, super engaged with this person from Delhi, the government official. And you know what? I was the quietest person because I couldn't speak, because I was shivering. Because in all our offices, including in this particular room called our multimedia room, we have an altar for Swami. And Swami was seated there physically and I could see him. And I was shivering and my voice was getting all, I wanted to cry because Swami was there sitting seriously and looking at all of us. And I was the quietest. And then when everything ended, everybody's looking at me, why is she not participating? Then I said, so can I assume we are all sorted, that can we officially declare that we are now on Diksha? That's all I asked and I thanked that person. That's it. I couldn't speak much else. You know what? I was so tongue-tied, but I want you to know that his presence was there with all of us when he was in the physical frame, and it continues to be with us exactly in the same way, even after Mahasamadhi. Bhagwan is always here. His presence is so palpable and live wire in my office, for example. There's so many times I open my office door and I smell his fragrance here, and open my car door, I smell his fragrance, and I have witnessed him seated in the altar of my office where I am right now, multiple times. And I know that I'm not hallucinating. Bhagwan is there, because I'll tell you why. My mind becomes still. I am so alive to my soul, and I have no petitions, no worries, no aches, and no pains. Exactly how it felt to be in his presence in the interview room. And there is that divine fragrance, and everything becomes still and electric and perfect. In every picture of Bhagwan, he listens to us. He talks to us. There is no difference at all. It is extremely authentic and it is my truth. I also find that Swami is very responsive in our office, because whenever we have any milestone event, For example, recently our inclusive education project material started to get published on the Government of India's website. This is for children with special needs. And this technical job of getting it published and uploaded was becoming a challenge. So finally, with the grace of God, when it worked out, we obviously go take our laptop to our altar, we all chant some prayers, and then we show everything to Swami. And when it comes to his volunteers who serve in this project, I think Swami has a soft spot for all of them, for all of us. I have found that whenever I pray for my sisters and brothers who I'm so privileged to work with here at Vidyavahini of 2025, Swami is always listening. So I'll tell you an example. One of my brothers who works with us and is an advisor in a specific area of this project, he already had a major health condition with regards to his lungs. On top of it, he had to undergo very invasive, serious, and complicated high-risk heart surgery. So we were talking to him, and his wife was very concerned. So we promised her that on the morning of the surgery, we'll all pray. And we did. I went to the mandir, prayed to Swami. Then all of us as a team prayed in front of our altar before starting work in our office. But throughout the course of the day, there was this, that gnawing fear. Why is he not coming out of the OT? Because he went into the operation theater first thing in the morning. And after a while, his wife got really worried and she was messaging me that he hasn't come out and we don't have an update. Keep praying. Are you praying? You won't believe my husband and my son were doing pradakshina at Ganesha. Somebody was breaking a coconut because we just were so concerned for this brother's health. And I was praying in the office. We were all doing whatever, writing Om Shri Sai Ram. It was quite a serious issue. Then when by about 4-ish, when his wife was in utter state of panic, I told her, okay, I'm just rushing to the mandir. Even before Vedam began, I went to the mandir and sat there, took my position. And I started praying intensely to Swami. Swami, please let something, some happy, safe news come out of this moment. It has been lingering for hours now. And then when I was praying, I opened my eyes and about 20 feet from me, beyond the black floor of the mandir, there is a white path that Swami would walk on, right? On that path, I saw Bhagwan seated, looking at me. And he mouthed the following words. I will protect. I understood them. And I felt so relieved to see Swami say that to me. I will protect. I wanted to actually run out and check my phone in my car, which was parked outside, but out of respect for Bhagwan's presence, and that was not the right thing to do, I sat through the entire bhajan, did the aarti, went to Mahasamadhi, thanked Swami for his assurance, and then I dashed to my car, picked up my phone, and I found a message from his wife saying that he has been moved to the ICU and he's stable. And after this big, long, major, scary surgery, this particular brother had the shortest stay in ICU and has had the fastest recovery after such a deadly operation. And others who were operated that day were much younger people who had quick operations and out, but they had long ICU stays. Swami kept his word. I will protect means he will protect. And the fact that I experienced it, I was not hallucinating because that's when it came to pass. Now, I find that Swami is everywhere, all the time, and is ready to bless and help us. It's just that we have to be open in our hearts and souls to receive that grace, to acknowledge it, to accept it, and to have the self-confidence to abide by it. Now, the program that I currently serve at Vidyavahini, Sri Sathya Sai Vidyavahini, we are on many national level platforms and we have to deal with a lot of different agencies of the governments and institutions. And we come across people who have a lot of varying ideologies. Sometimes there is some underlying resistance. It might not be overt, it might be subtle, but I have found that following Swami's teachings is the best way to handle it. I think since this has been a challenge sometimes because I have a bias against people, I just find that visualizing his love and light and sending it to the people that I deal with always helps me to see their goodness, the good in, because there is good in everyone, and also to forge a deeper connection with them. Because Swami, because when we seek him in everyone, even the most unlikeliest person, we will find him there. He is in everyone because he is everyone. And that is the realization we really need to come to. So if trying to live in the aftermath of the Mahasamadhi was not challenging enough, dealing with the complexities of the shift in my life since June of 2017 was no less frightening. The stress that I experienced at that time, I think, I'm sure, I shouldn't say I think, I know was part of the process that forced me to rely on my inner God voice, to experience it directly firsthand, and to learn to live with him, in him, through him, because he's in everyone and everywhere, including the people I strongly did not want to be around. That acceptance has to happen. So if I have survived this journey, it is by deploying my inner guidance and most importantly, by trusting it. This self-confidence, I think this growth spurt is Bhagwan's gift to me for the centenary, and I hope I will value this gift. And I find this is the gift that has enabled me to realize that it's not just an analogy that our relationship to God is like that of a fish with water. You know what they say, a fish swims in water. It has water above it, below it, around it, inside it. Similarly, we are swimming in this Sai ocean of love. There is Sai around us, above us, below us, inside us. And we keep forgetting that. The sooner we realize that and trust that Swami is in me, Swami is me, and what I think from the core of my being, keeping all things considered as that which my conscience allows, that is Swami thinking through me, and I should have full faith in that. Bhagwan's love for me has been the most perfect and fulfilling experience of my life. I want to savor it. I want to nurture it till my last breath. And today, as we move towards the centenary celebrations, I wish all of us would start having that self-confidence to know that Swami thinks through us. Swami executes his own work through us, and Swami speaks through us when we speak with love and kindness. There is nothing more. A day will come, everything that we have amassed, everything that we attach importance to is going to remain here. Our God self has to find its way back. Centenary is the perfect time to just pull back and reassess our relationship and take it a few notches up and trust all that we have been talking about, giving discourses, quoting this one's experience, that one's experience, talking about these bombastic miracles of Swami. You and I are living embodiments of those miracles. Every single time you find the universe is kind to you, aligned to you, synchronized towards with you, it is Swami. Why is that experience not as valid as that fantastic experience that I might share with you or another person might share with you? My sharing might be inspirational, but at the end of the day, it has its impact and intensity more on me and more spiritual entertainment for you, and vice versa. So I think time has come for us to have that inner clarity. We are the children of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. We have incarnated here for a purpose for which our soul has aspired for many lifetimes. And that the fact that we should fulfill the sankalpa of the avatar, the Paripurna avatar, by trusting his presence within us, will give us the confidence to move with clarity, without fear, without hesitation, without, is it the right thing to do? I'm not so sure. What will this one say? What will so-and-so think about it? Own your experience. Let's own everything that we experience as our truth and move from there. With that thought, I'm open to any questions that you may have, and I will pray to Swami to guide me to answer, provided the moderator says we have the time for it. Thank you. Sai Ram. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Wonderful. Great reflection and talking about how to use this year and the time to do an inner reset and think about how we can connect more and have the self-confidence and trust in Swami. Very nice. We'll take some questions here. Let's see. Janti, do you have any questions?
I don't see any questions yet on the chat box.
So I think I've put everybody to sleep, perhaps. It's
Yeah.
your bedtime. But it's not bedtime in India. Okay, we're just starting off with there's a beautiful program happening in the mandir while I speak to you right now. So perhaps I've put all of you to sleep. And if I've done so, I pray to Swami that he comes in your dreams and blesses you.
I think it's not too late. Let's see. I wanted to ask you, how did you come to Swami? If there's anything special thing that came and inspired you to come to Swami and take up this huge responsibility and the mission, if you have anything to share.
There were so many pointers from the universe. So my husband and I and our children, we were living in Toronto, Canada at that time, and it was the soul's longing. I think many people have it. With the grace of God, we listened to it. And it was good that both of us were on the same page. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of difficulty in making that decision. It came to us very naturally. All of a sudden, the American dream or the Canadian dream of a big suburban house, multiple luxury cars, this, that, backyard, front yard, snow shoveling, none of that held any appeal. A square footage was of no thing. And before we moved, every time we used to always come to Prashantinilayam, right, in winter time, and whenever opportunities arose. And prior to that, our daughter was studying here in Swami School. I have studied here as well, but my daughter was in primary. Every time we came to Prashantinilayam and we stayed in my mom and dad's tiny little flat in Samadhi Road, and did the whole drill of because Swami would come for darshan so early, getting ready quickly, running between home, this, that, somebody's gone away with the key. Having all that chaos, we in the midst of that inconvenience of living in communal living in two tiny rooms and misplacing the keys and rushing between this and that. In the midst of that chaos, there was so much of joy and happiness in being in Prashantinilayam. We felt at home. We didn't miss that luxury of running hot water or running water or continuous electricity. We didn't miss it. The darshan and the moment you enter Ganesha gate, what this place does to you. And even though I've lived here now for 16 years continuously, it hasn't diminished one bit. The vibration level here is so powerful, and the air is so divine. Everything, the ground here is so sacred. God has walked on it. So one time we had this conversation that, we feel the happiest here. We feel at home here. And home is where the heart is. The heart was at ease here. It beats to a different rhythm here as compared to the stress of the outside world. So somehow our circumstances were such, and prior to moving, I was already working online with the grace of God with the radio side team under Professor G. Venkatraman sir. And Venkatraman sir was such an honor to work with and so much to learn from him. So that made my transition easy, because we knew that if we moved here, I would have something to do, and my husband was working online at that time. So, and my son had been trying to get admission in Swami School, and believe you me, we had come previous year also, and he hadn't gotten. Every time they told us to try the next year. So somehow all the elements came together, and the universe conspired that we were able to come here. He got his admission, and we settled here. And 6 months prior to our move, my husband and his mom were visiting Prasanthi Nilayam. He picked up his mom from Jammu and he came to Parthi, and they were staying in my mom's flat. And I think they were bored one day. So they took an auto ride to go sightseeing around Prasanthi Nilayam and Puttaparthi. And the auto guy took them to see some villas under construction. And my husband decided to put a down payment on a villa, and then he realized, oh God, like always, I never consult my wife on these important decisions, and she always has the same complaint. So he said, I was in Toronto, middle of the night, I get an G chat message. Congratulations, you're the owner of a villa in Prasanthi Nilayam. And I woke up and I'm like, what? When did this happen? How did this happen? So in this confusion that Swami created, we even ordered a house, which was somewhat constructed, but it was not finished. So there was a house, there was an admission for a child, there was both of us on the same page with regards to where we felt the happiest in the world. So that's how we came to Prasanthi Nilayam. And of course, the fact that I was already doing some moonlighting with Radio Sai helped me to serve as a volunteer full time after I came.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing us your journey. Let's see, anybody else, any question?
So I have a question. So what does the Sri Satya Sai Vidya Vahini exactly, what do they do, and what project is it?
It is the digital education project of the Sri Satya Sai Central Trust. And what it does is, Swami created these model education institutions here, which is our schools, which are amongst India's best. Every year when the national level results come, Sri Satya Sai Higher Secondary School, Prasanthi Nilayam is always in the first 5. But what is unique about these schools is that we don't only stress on academic excellence, but also character development, because values education is very important. And these are residential, wonderful schools with the full ecosystem of Sai education. And finally, they don't charge a fee and they are in a rural setting. And this is an incredible model. Nobody has been able to replicate it. But Bhagwan, in his infinite vision, knew that India is going through this huge digital revolution. And the best way to leverage India's digital education is to extrapolate the best practices of the Satya Sai system of education to the whole country. And in the process, Swami spoke to the original team and told them to empower rural teachers so that it's easier for them to teach better. So what we create is digital content, which is master lesson plans, enriched with human values, enriched with copyright-free multimedia, and we upload these to number of national websites and on our own learning management system. This allows teachers everywhere in India, they don't need to do much prep. If they're teaching grade 3 math lesson on a particular topic, let's say double-digit multiplication or something, or the long division, they can just take the master lesson plan, the teaching aids, all the ideas, and transact it in their class if they have hardware, which is maybe a tablet and a smart TV. If they don't, they can just see the master lesson plan, print out something, or just read it twice and get ideas what they can do using the chalk and talk method, but use our ideas, our content to take this learning and make it fun for children. Bhagwan had told Vidya Vahini at the initial stages that move away from rote learning, which is really the bane of Indian learning system, some may say, and make it more experiential and fun-filled and everyday life relevant, and obviously with human value content. So I'm very pleased to inform you that right now Vidya Vahini is the single largest contributor of digital content and assets to the entire country of India on the Prime Minister of India's website called diksha.gov.in. You won't be able to access it from America because of the firewalls. Diksha is an acronym. It stands for Digital Infrastructure for Knowledge Sharing. And it is available to all teachers. And only in the beginning, one time when they showed me the data from the back end, from Leh and Ladakh and all districts of Kashmir and Jammu to Kanyakumari to Andaman Nicobar, Daman, Diu, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, and all places in between, teachers are downloading in thousands our asset and using it to transact it in their classrooms. We also create resources for improving the professional training of teachers. So we have multiple collaborations with Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, IITM, and IIT Madras is running a portal called Swayam Plus. It is for the government of India. Swayam Plus is a portal. It's a massive online courses, massive open online course, MOOC they call it, something like your Coursera in America. And on that, we are creating courses to empower teachers to learn better. And I'm very happy to say we have begun barely a year and 2 months ago, since we signed the MOU. And we have 4 teacher training courses on Swayam Plus, which KPMG runs on behalf of IIT Madras. So we have multiple MOUs with multiple leading agencies. And our courses we have done 4 courses. As I speak to you, we have 3,300 and counting participants on our courses with an 80% course completion rate compared to the average of 4% on rest of Swayam. So compared to 4% completion, Vidya Vahini courses enjoy 80% course completion. We are helping all the rural schools across India. But the ones that bear Swami's name are very dear to us. They're, most of you may or may not know that these are the Puttaparthi schools are the flagship schools. But there are another 103 schools around India that have Bhagwan's name. Out of those 103, we engage with about 63 of them. Because some of them are not aligned at all with us because they are either they're only like kindergarten schools. So we help those schools directly, but through use of technology, we reach out to whole of India. And the government of India also has a think tank. It used to be formerly known as the Planning Commission. Now it's called Niti Aayog. Niti, India loves acronyms, okay? So, hey, so do you, MAGA people. So everybody loves acronyms. I should not make fun of us. So NITI stands for National Institute for Transforming India. And the National Institute for Transforming India has identified that out of 750 odd districts, revenue districts of India, 150 something have been identified as extra backward. They are called aspirational districts. In these districts, the parameters such as girl-child health, financial inclusion of women, foundational literacy and numeracy, and basic sanitation, these are way below even the national average. So we have taken up some of these districts. For example, we took one called Virudhunagar. It is in Tamil Nadu. Actually, Tamil Nadu is doing great on this because it only has 2 aspirational districts, Virudhunagar and Ramnathpuram. There are places elsewhere in Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, where majority of the districts fall under the category of aspirational districts. So we took up the one in Virudhunagar, for example, and we went full on with a program called SOPAN. It's a foundational literacy and numeracy program. And we empowered the government school teachers on how to achieve their goals by giving them aids, tools, and learnings. And this has been very well received. And we have completed with Swami's grace. It was one of our offerings for the centenary birthday. And we are, as per schedule, we have offered it at Swami's Lotus Feet. There were 11 blocks. Within each district, there are smaller clusters called blocks. And we have trained 1,500 primary school teachers from the government schools on how to make foundational literacy and numeracy a success story in that underbelly of India, because the Shining India success story also has an underbelly of poverty, literacy, and neglect. And what happens is because we have a system called Right to Education, every child can enroll in a government school. We also have a system called Auto Pass. Till grade 5, they keep getting promoted without an exam or without really doing too well on their exam. But when they reach grade 5, as we found in Virudhunagar, very sadly, the children's mother tongue is Tamil, but they couldn't write their own name in Tamil in grade 5. So we went back and we used this SOPAN, our program, Vidya Vahinis, and I have made many visits to that area. Luckily, it's close to a very favorite place of mine called the Madurai Meenakshi Temple. So I'm always ready to go to Virudhunagar, and so are all my colleagues, because we also go for a darshan there. So we've been to Virudhunagar, we've been into the back of the back places and empowered government teachers using the VAKT method, which if there are any educators here, they will know: visual, auditory, tactile, and kinesthetic ways of learning through fun and games, and through real life examples, much like your Waldorf and your Montessori method. And with human values, everything as human values integrated, all our stories, all our examples, all the names we use. And we have successfully delivered this in Virudhunagar, and we continue to pursue the same aspirational district program for the Niti Aayog of Government of India in a place called Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh. It's just outside the capital of Bhopal. So these are just a few of the things we do. We work for Niti Aayog, we work with IIT Madras, we work with Diksha, which is actually the website of the government. It's the body we deal with, you might be familiar with, because I see a lot of Indian names here. It's called the NCERT-CIET, the National Council for Education, Research and Training. It's the Government of India's nodal body that runs the education implementation program. And I believe we are very well poised to empower teachers and help schools to become compliant with what is known as India's new education policy, NEP 2020, and something called National Curriculum Framework, NCF. So I hope I didn't overwhelm you, but that was a very small synopsis of what we do.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing a lot of noble work you're doing. So just one thing I wanted to ask, is there any help that you need from California region that we can?
Yes, please, of course. So now, after we after we were trending on Diksha during COVID, when all of India had to go on to online teaching methods and they didn't have resources, and here was Swami Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba giving everything away for free to the whole country from Prashanti Nilayam. The government of India, somebody called me, and I love to tell this story. And this person said that, Karuna ji, your content is doing so well. There is such excellence in the content that's coming from Prashanti Nilayam. And our education policy calls for India to implement inclusion, which means every school has to include and have inclusive education policies. So children with mild to moderate disabilities, and there are 21 disabilities that have been identified. Excuse me. And out of these 21 disabilities, children who are in the mild to moderate range have to be accommodated or included, not accommodated, wrong word, included in the mainstream learning paradigm. And this is a very noble vision, but we have no resources. Teachers don't know where to start. If anyone can do it, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba can do it. So can you ask your trust to please consider this as a request? It came from the government. And you will not believe me. You can quote me on this. You can go through my phone. The day I had this call in the evening, this man says, I said, why don't you write to our managing trustee and make a request? He said, can you give me his email ID? I said, I've written so many emails to you. He's always copied, but okay, as I'm speaking to him, I'm writing Mr. Ratnakar's email ID, okay, in the WhatsApp chat box. And as I do this, this man had already prepared his email and he sends it to Brother Ratnakarji, and I'm copied on it because my inbox gives a ping. So they were so ready. They were just waiting to ask me and they were so inattentive because the email ID was copied many times on many emails that they had exchanged with me. But anyway, I gave it to them. And I put the phone down. I'm like, Swami, what is going on? Because through this time, my WhatsApp kept populating. I'm wondering who's writing so many WhatsApps to me. It's like, some bulk WhatsApps are coming to you. People from all over the world are reaching out to me and saying, I heard good things about Vidya Vahini. Can you tell me if there's any scope? I'm a special educator. I'm a physiotherapist. I'm an occupational therapist from this place, that place. Is there anything I can do to contribute to your program? So while this man calls me from Delhi, Bhagwan has sent out a bulk WhatsApp to all his instruments around the world who can contribute to inclusive education, who started, I'm an audiologist, I'm a special ed, I'm a this, I'm a that. And I never solicited, I don't know most of these people. They just, who gave them my number? My number is anywhere accessible. But how did they get that moment, my number at that moment, and why did they reach out to me? It is the Sankalpa of the Lord. And this inclusive education project is so phenomenal. We are doing, we're an ambitious bunch of people. I tell you, because whenever I told a few policymakers what we are planning to do, they just looked at me in disbelief and said, that's an ambitious project. Good luck. I'm like, don't you worry. You don't know who's behind us. You don't know who executes our projects. Maybe you're counting on your limited intelligence. The Central Trust has completely backed this project. We are going out, all out, and creating the world's first 360-degree inclusive education project for all stakeholders, not only the children in the class and the teacher who has to teach in a differentiated way according to each child's style of learning, and recognizing their uniqueness without excluding them, without compromising them, and without putting them outside the circle. We are also ensuring all stakeholders are addressed: parents, caregivers, school managements, teachers, peers, siblings, everyone. And it's going great. It's a 9-year project. The Central Trust has taken upon itself to do it in the service of the entire nation and the world. Because by the time we have started to publish on Diksha, and by the time we finish everything, we are hopeful that Diksha will become accessible to everyone around the world. But just about today is Friday. On Monday, this past Monday, IIT Madras had invited us again for a round table, this time on Swayam Plus. I told you we do teacher courses on Swayam Plus with the 80% completion rate, the most popular trending teacher courses. They want to now have inclusive education content on Swayam Plus, and they called all key stakeholders, Vidya Vahini being number one on that. So we are in talks with IIT Madras, and we also have huge collaborations, CSR collaborations with the big four, actually the big five, all your American firms. So we deal with Deloitte, Ernst & Young, KPMG, PwC, and RSM. And because they see the value in inclusion that we are doing, and we are their partners, the biggest CSR thread, because they see why this is so important to make sure that society becomes inclusive. Swami's vision, love all, serve all, is totally inclusive. The world only talks about it and does lip service. Policymakers do it to earn votes. Satya Sai Baba is the only one who has so many instruments around the world who are working to make it a reality. And if there are any in North America who can contribute to inclusive education, I urge you to reach out to any of us. Volunteer at sssvv.org, or just reach out to me through your Global Council officials. They will know my email ID. So volunteer at sssvv.org, Sri Satyasai-Vidyavahini.org is a good place to start.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't let go of the opportunity for that pitch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Very nice. So much noble work being done, and a lot of our officers are on the call. They will definitely know about this and spread the word. Thank you, Sister Karuna Sarup-Munshi, for your valuable time. We hope we can have many more satsangs and inspire our region so we can get closer and closer to our dear Lord. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody, and we'll
thank
close
you for
with
the opportunity.
We'll close with the
Thank you very much.
We'll close with Aarti.
Yes.
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपदान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरि अन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरि अन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्राशयन ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी हो साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंधुको मंगल आरती अंधुको मंगल गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय
Sai Ram, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you, sister.
Aarti just finished in the mandir also. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.